That countdown music is growing on me. I'll admit it.
Brianna loves it. She loves it.
How you
You can
doing?
always change it or get rid of it entirely. Super
Yeah.
echoey.
We got 16 people tuned in so far. Welcome everybody to Coffee and Co-Creation.
You got to say the name of the show, right? Hey, listen, how do you feel about okay, it's a new month. How do you feel about like month-long goals? Maybe not for yourself, but I mean, is it so bad? Like I just get pinned to these times. Like now it's a new month. Yay. I can try different things.
I think it depends on how you define goal.
Okay.
Like if a goal is an intention, yeah, no problem. Set a monthly intention.
Okay.
If a goal is I need to do everything I can to make, maybe X amount of money by the end of the month, that's closer to a goal that feels more like resistance or attachment to outcome.
Right.
So for me, I haven't been setting goals. I just, my intention is to flow and feel good and follow my impulses and live connected to source. And then whatever comes about from that is whatever comes about.
Right. And I think that's it. It's like some framework that I can work from. Because for the last month, I did a thing with my mother-in-law. It's like we won't eat a bunch of food. We'll kind of diet, kind of in a fun way until October. Like they all came over last night, but now here we are. The next day, I'm like, oh, okay. I like that little framework, and I just didn't know if it was a negative thing. I guess as long as I'm feeling good about it, it's probably okay.
Yeah, I mean it's if you're using an intention like first of the month as a permission slip to meet an objective or to do things differently or as a start over point, then yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Permission slips are there to help us in whatever unfolding we're going down if we want to use them.
Right. But I mean, we kind of go over that you're kind of just good to go. You're perfect in your bubble.
Yeah, I love my bubble, but it's interesting because for me, one of the challenges or things that I'm exploring is stepping out of my bubble. It's like, I'm so happy, so satisfied, so content in my now reality. It's like Source channeled the other day through Anik that oh, there's another book waiting for me to write.
Oh, cool.
I can write it anytime that I want. And I'm like, nah, I don't feel like it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's no right or wrong. And I'm sure at some point the inspiration to write the book will hit and I'll be excited to write it and I'll sit down and do it. But yeah, I think sometimes bubbles, again, we get to choose how we want to explore reality and experience reality. And I do think that sometimes we spend more time in comfort zones than maybe we should or we want to admit.
Do you feel that way about yourself? I mean, when you think about the book, does it feel like a chore or exciting? Right now, it probably feels like nothing because you hadn't been thinking about it.
Well, it's like, so with Power Manifesting, to me, that book feels like so delicious and so juicy, even though I've expanded so much beyond where I was when that book was written. Part of me is like, you know what? That book was so good that I have no desire or need to write another one.
Right.
Right. But at the same time, I know that there's so much juicy, expansive goodness to share with the world.
Right.
That of course there's room for another book. But I'm also already sharing all that stuff with my live calls with the School of Expansion. So do I feel the need or the strong desire to write another book? Not right now.
Yeah, it'd almost be like I'd be interested in the topic. Maybe the topic would be so fascinating to you or do you have a topic in mind?
Yeah, the topic, what I'm here to teach, and that they made that crystal clear in the last few months is living connected to source.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure the book is around the concept of what it is like and how to live as a fully integrated source being in physical reality.
Right. And so, I mean, with that practice, such a practice for one, right? Like,
No, but
for you,
here's the
it's
thing.
not. Okay, go ahead.
It's not a practice, it's automatic.
Okay.
It's a practice when you're not doing it and you're learning to do it and you're learning to step into it.
Right.
But we are source beings. We are source beings having a human experience. Now, we don't know that coming into physical reality, and most people are disconnected from source in the sense of not having the awareness that source exists, or synchronicity, or intuition, or flow, or living in that integrated 5D way.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a practice. There's work involved in terms of reintegrating yourself to that, becoming that source being. But once you're there, um, it's mostly, I would say, mostly automatic.
When you say synchronicities, are you meaning like some of the clock stuff?
Some of the what stuff?
I don't know. Like, I always think of synchronicities as a 333, you
No,
know?
not just the clock stuff. It's just like things falling into place in like this effortless manner.
Okay. That's a synchronicity to you.
Yeah. I mean,
That
theoretically, the true definition, everything is synchronicity,
Sure.
right? If you really understand law of attraction, you understand that everything that is coming to you is a reflection of what you've got going on. So everything is orchestrated. All the chess pieces are always being moved by source, um, to reflect back who it is you're being and what it is you're vibrating.
Right. And so you base your well, maybe you make adjustments based off of, someone came into your while you were at the grocery store, something happened at the grocery store. Do you make adjustments based off all that?
No, because you're not
Okay.
spending 24/7
Okay.
analyzing your vibration all the time. But if you've got, a piece of contrast that comes at you,
Mm.
and then like you notice kind of a bit of a repeating sticky point or emotion, then you know that there's something there to look at and to integrate.
Yeah, that's so I keep playing with the like open-heartedness, right? So before, all this call, I hadn't really thought of that really at all. So, and with your call last Wednesday too, that was great. Like the four pillars things that she was talking about, all that stuff is so powerful. And it's like,
Yeah. We've got a drop content release today for School of Expansion, and it's basically like a 2-page worksheet
mm,
that takes people and helps people like really identify their pillars. And so School of Expansion students, you guys can expect that sometime today.
had you gone through any of it? I know during the live call, she was, you were saying, well, it's something I'm going to have to think about this week. I was just curious how you had
For
played
me,
with it.
it felt a little bit different than I think most people. Um, for me, I've always had like a very playful nature, and I've always been very like authentic. So for me, living out my pillars, living out my highest excitements has always been kind of an automatic or a natural thing. Um, I'm not the kind of person who's ever really compromised on themselves or their values or their desires, when
Mm.
it comes to what other people are looking for. Kat says she
Yeah.
missed. Kat says she missed the call. Kat, it's unteachable. Go check it out, especially before you do the worksheet today.
Well, and to kind of explain some of it, well, it was two things that as a child, two of the four pillars was two things as a child that you've kind of forgotten about yourself. Is
Yeah,
how
I
I took
think
it.
I think that the two main questions you want to ask is, as a child, what excitements did I have? What did I do that felt good that I've kind of given up on as an adult, right? And then it's looking at, what aspects of myself, what beliefs am I practicing that are preventing me from allowing my inner child to really be part of my now reality. So is it beliefs or fears that it's not safe to have fun? Is it irresponsible to have fun? So it's exploring those things. And the worksheet will really take you guys through, to help you guys identify what those things are for you.
Yeah, and I'd be curious how close everyone's because when she was reading her own, when she was saying her own four things, it was very like, oh yes, that's that too for me. How much of that do you think is a lot of people? A lot of people kind of fall in a general thing.
Let's ask our chat. So everybody in the chat, here's a question for you. Take a second and reflect on, your excitements as a child, how much fun you were having as a child. And yes or no, are you giving yourself permission to have that much fun in your reality and experience that much excitement? Let's see what people say.
Yeah, and
What do you think? What about for you?
yeah, for me, it is. I've forgotten some things because you kind of just baggage comes along with everyday life. Like somehow I'm less excited because I already know what happened in the past. Like versus, if you recommend a tea, I have no clue what that's going to taste like. I'm very excited to try that. But okay, I'm going to play around with different thumbnails for our channel, and then I almost get like this defeatist attitude and be like, well, I know what's going to happen here. I already know what's going to happen here. It's too y- you have to go back to that childhood like state and feel just the excitement, right?
Yeah. So something I've been practicing a lot too is the term came up in a channeling in the past few days with the mastery group, and the term is source reality.
Okay.
So there's my human self, which is what I consider my 3D self, my physical self, my inner critic attached self. So that's the human self. Then there's my source self, which is the inner being part of me, the source part of me, the part of me that exists beyond infinity, the open-hearted, unconditionally loving version of me. So there's human self and source self.
Mhm.
And then there's what I would call physical reality, which is this physical, see it, taste it, smell it, touch it reality, 3D reality. And then there's what I call source reality. And source reality is like the non-physical version of me or of my reality, but with the infinite potential.
Yeah.
And the aspect of materialization, what you're doing is you're pulling things out of source reality and bringing them, materializing them into physical reality.
Yeah, I love
So my
that. That was
so
perfect.
my new favorite term, and we're going to be talking about that on the mastery call today, is source reality. Because what the notion of source reality does is it, like, to me, it makes things more tangible. So a lot of people, they fail to manifest or to materialize things they're looking for because they're stuck in what's happening in physical reality,
Right.
right? So if I keep noticing a lack of clients, then I'm going to keep manifesting lack of clients because that's what I'm giving my attention to,
Right.
right? Um, so this notion of source reality, well, I can look at my source reality. I can see all of my clients in source reality. I can feel their presence in source reality. And to me, that's a really delicious thing to do and a really delicious concept.
So you just fantasize into that you place for a bit. You kind of just
Fantasize
ramp
isn't
that
the
up.
right,
Oh, it's
to me,
not.
fantasize isn't the right word, because for me, like, source self,
Yeah.
I can feel the tangibility,
Okay.
the realness of my source self, even though it's not physical, even though I can't smell it, see it, taste it, touch it. I know my source self is real because I can feel it as part of me.
Right.
And I can now tune into source reality in the same way.
Okay. Oops. I missed the first part of that. Okay. So carefree and I'm not. She used to pretend in animals. I wonder what would happen to that. Just walk around like an animal still.
If anybody who
That's
know
fun.
anybody who knows Cat's amazing. I've visited her in Mallorca a couple of times. She loves animals. She's always sending Nick and I pictures of hedgehogs and all the crazy animals she sees in Mallorca.
So would you go back to playing like an animal? Of course. That's the best. There's a lady that walks around our town and she just got she just wear cat ears. She identifies as a cat and it's awesome. It's just awesome.
Anik had a pair of ears here once, and she put them on, and our cat Luna saw Anik with the cat ears on, and it freaked her out.
Oh, that's fun. See, that's
Yeah, it's
childlike
hilarious.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay. What I loved as a child and found fun is a different way than I find fun and interesting today. That's fine. But I'm definitely not having as much fun as I was as a child. That's a great point.
It's not necessarily about the same activity, but it's the same depth of freedom or carefreeness, or it's about the feeling state that you were experiencing as a child in the context of fun and excitement and exploration. you know are you allowing yourself to live in that same state as an adult?
So how about this one? Has no memories of what I loved. See, but so then recreate. Like if somehow there's total amnesia, like you totally forgot everything. That sounds like the best thing. That sounds like what is supposed to be, because then you're reborn. You're brand new again.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah.
getting that wrong?
I mean, ultimately, it's about how good can I feel now?
Of
And I
course.
think this four pillars exercise that we did in the School of Expansion last week was really about reconnecting to that inner child and remembering how good and how deeply we are able to feel joy and fun and carefreeness and freedom and excitement. Because I think as adults, we get lost in the day to day, the responsibilities, and we stop making priority, um,
Mhm.
or stop taking the priority to have fun.
Yeah, and I felt like it was it was a chance to notice what I felt as a child that I still feeling today. And it's like, oh yeah, that's my repeating theme again and again and again, and time to deal with it, like, or whatever. I guess. So, what is that step? Can I ask that, or is that the next call?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll talk about that in future calls for sure. But I think what you're referring to is what she talked about on the call last week, which was, what was I missing as a child?
Mhm.
And as an adult, in what way am I filling that void?
Right.
Right. So if as a child you felt a lack of nurturing, then as an adult, are you taking extra time to nurture yourself?
Right. For my thing specifically was like this not enoughness, like, or maybe one day. That's the one that probably pops up the most. But like I always have this idea of like future self is going to be so much better than right now, and that when I get to that point, then it's going to be so much better than it is right now.
Yeah,
And
you can't
so,
get
and
there.
that's always pushing it off since as long as I can remember. And that's my repeating theme. And so, going with what you always talk about, it was just like this whole week has been spent just feeling,
Yeah.
in the moment, in the moment, in the
My
moment.
my future reality is always going to be a reflection of my current reality and what I'm practicing in my current reality.
Yeah. Let's see. I have to start in the morning when there's less resistance. I have a routine to have a positive mindset. See, that's great. I always
Yeah,
forget to do my
absolutely.
routine.
And there's nothing wrong with jump starting, right? For me, like some
Right.
mornings I'll get up. There's a Boiler Room set with Fred again that I love to listen to. That dude is probably the highest vibing DJ or musician right now, and I love that Boiler Room set. So like, when I want an extra little pump me up, I put that on in the background and I listen to it. This morning I made I made 3 lasagnas at 6:30 a.m. this morning.
What?
And as I was making the lasagnas, I was in the zone. I felt really good. I put some music on. It pumped me up even more.
You just get a impulse to make the lasagna?
Well, Nick and I have been talking about making lasagna for a couple of days, that it's been a while.
Okay.
And I've got a full day today, and I was like, you know what? I want lasagna tonight. I've got an hour and a half time slot right now that's open. I don't have to do anything until about 10 o'clock. So I was like, you know what? I am going to make those lasagnas right now.
It's just the two of you. You're gonna have lasagna for 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, whenever I make food, I always make like
Oh,
3 to
and then
4
freeze it.
times, and then I freeze it. Yeah, because think about
Yeah.
it. To make 1 lasagna, it might take like 75 minutes, but to make 2 lasagnas, it might take like 85 minutes, right?
Yeah, or
So
75
it's like
minutes.
it's all about input output, right? So I
Yeah.
made 3 lasagnas.
You're so efficient. Okay, that's great. What? She gets arrested, blaming you. She won't
That's
even
okay.
understand she's an animal. We're good.
I'll come rescue you, Kat, if you get arrested. Don't worry.
Memories are recreations. Okay. Lasagna. It's not fair. She gets the lasagna.
Yeah. I can share some pictures later too. They're amazing.
Wait, how big's the pan?
They're like, each lasagna's got like 6 portions.
All right. Yeah, we got I got a crazy keto cake coming. So it's
So
like
cake with no sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. Just lots of fat. Fake sugars.
Does it taste like bacon?
No, it doesn't. It's like artificial sweeteners. It
Okay.
kind of has but anyway, I'm excited about I don't even know what brought that up. I'm trying to counter your lasagna because now I want lasagna. Yeah, there you go. She's coming over dressed as Garfield.
Is that all it took, Kat? I make lasagna.
People just showing up. Did you ever hear like John Lennon would just have like random people showing up at his house? You ever get that?
Oh, really?
Cool. Yeah. And he would invite him in for tea.
Yeah. Well, our sauna is going to be done probably by the end of the weekend. So whoever wants to come over for a sauna party, just hit me up.
Yeah, of course.
We'll cram like 12 people into like a 6-person sauna.
Yeah, it's fine. Just stack them like Tetris. All right. I want to hear some questions. But until then, I'll think of some more things. But I'm really curious. Other people's stuff. Look, we got 49 people. This is rocking today. We're ready to go.
Who else is drinking coffee? Anybody else? Did anybody else take the time to make a coffee to join us with coffee and co-creation? We need to make some coffee and co-creation mugs or have our own coffee brand or something.
Oh, you want merch?
Yeah, totally.
A tote bag. Yeah, you can have full rights to that merch. I mean, it's not a big deal to make a thing. We can print a thing on a mug. I want to make these. This is what I make. Wood carvings things. Look at all those are layers. Yeah, it's all just like layer after layer after layer.
You didn't do that. You bought that?
I have a laser cutter, but yeah, I did. I mean, I kind of sort of did it. Does that count? Having a laser cutter?
Yeah. So did you end up setting your intent for November? Did you set some goals?
No, I just thought of it this morning. And I was going to run it over with you. I was just curious, like, because, I like, again, I think as long as I feel good about it, then it's a productive thing. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but like, it doesn't feel like a chore. And so if it doesn't, because I think a lot of times it's like, oh, get up and run however many miles or run like a set amount of time. And that doesn't stir me. That feels like chores. I don't want to start the day with a chore.
Yeah. And I think, if your intention is to feel good in your body and you're living in alignment, then you're going to get the nudges and inspirations to do things that feel good for your body.
Yeah. I think sometimes the nudges though are a little deceptive.
The foods you crave are going to be the foods that match your vibration. So like, when you're depressed or feeling sad or upset or low vibe, then you're going to crave Big Macs and fried food and junk. And when you're vibing high and feeling really good, like for me in the summertime, that's when I feel my best.
Sure.
And like, that's when I'm always craving like salads and fresh stuff.
Yeah. I think you might've nailed it. There was a sense of like, oh, it's cold. I'm going to get some comfort food. Comfort food's a little heavier.
Lasagna.
Well, that's fine though. I mean, as long as you don't eat all 3 at once, but even if you do, I guess. Cool.
Yeah. But my favorite part of lasagna is the Caesar salad you get to put on the side. Who here loves Caesar salad? I'm a big Caesar and Greek salad fan.
There you go. Custom roast. You talked about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I actually know a guy. I used to work with him. He used to be a good friend. I haven't talked to him in a few years. He's got a coffee bean business.
Oh, cool.
And they sail their coffee beans up from South America on like a sailboat or something, or some kind of open air boat where the coffee beans are exposed to ocean air for like a few weeks or a month or whatever it takes to get here, and I guess that improves the flavor of the beans. So I gotta test those things out.
Oh, you haven't tried it?
Not yet, but I'm gonna try to get some before next call.
I wonder if it would have like a saltier like taste to it,
Well, I
or
live
if
on the
you would.
ocean. You know what? I live on the ocean here, so maybe I'll take a bunch of coffee beans and leave them outside for a week.
Do you have a saltier taste since you live on the ocean? Are you just a saltier being?
Only when I get out of the ocean.
Wait, everyone's talking about salads. Caesar salad? What's going on? It's a big party. We're talking about salads.
Maybe we should rename this to coffee and
Hey, listen.
salad and co-creation.
Salad and co-creation at 8 a.m. Let's go. Lasagna. On the way to the call, she was thinking that all that matters is fun, and here you are both talking about fun, of course.
Totally.
Right?
Big promoter of fun.
So I got caught up in like, I had a moment with my daughter, my 9-year-old daughter, and like she was watching like this Taylor Swift. I don't know. There was some like emotional thing that like enveloped me, and I'm like crying. I don't understand these emotions. Dude, I don't know if I'm crying about the music. I don't know what the song was. I don't know anything, but crying, and like I'm watching her grow up. It's like, oh, I'm crying. I was crying again that night. I was like, I don't know about this open heart thing. That's the only bad thing, I guess.
Yeah,
Is that I actually have to feel things.
But feeling is you being attuned to your guidance system, right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of people in School of Expansion recently, I'd say in the last maybe 6 weeks, more in the mastery group than the regular school, but a lot of people have noticed that they're extra emotional and they're crying a lot for no reason.
Oh.
And what that is it's you're opening your heart more and more, which is what we've been doing in the calls. And as you open your heart more and more, your connection to source gets stronger and stronger. So the densities you carry have to be let out. They have to be come up and release. You don't always have to watch a sad movie or find some deep rooted belief to release these energies. Sometimes they're just there, just need to be processed and released in that way.
I was finding it hard to like, even in meditation, hard to like listen to my heart. Like, I don't know. Have you ever had a problem with that?
So when you say listen to your heart, do you mean drop into your heart and just sit in that space?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I can visualize that, right? And then by doing that, it feels like, well, where did that come from? Is that my mind thinking of this idea? When I have full silence and it's a full meditative process, then it's like fully connected, right? But the idea of dropping down to my heart, and I was playing in there and I was just like listening, right? And then it's like the mind chatter, or even the idea of dropping down.
I would say listening to me sounds like a mental thing.
Uh-huh.
I would say like for me, when I drop in, I can feel the energy running through my legs. So for me, there's this thing that happens with my legs. Like I can feel the energy. And to me, I would describe it not so much as a listening state, but like a feeling state.
Okay. Yeah, I'm almost waiting for instruction. Is
No,
kind of how I'm
don't wait
taking
for
this.
anything. Just sit in the space. Just sit there. Just sit in the space.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And in a meditation, or I guess the whole day, you could just feel it, like even in this moment. There's so much mind chatter for me.
Well, but here's the thing, and I love that you've brought this up in a kind of scenic route kind of way, is that like you never have to listen for source to say something. So a lot of people, they'll ask a question and they'll sit there and they'll meditate and they're listening. But like when you try to listen, I think you go back into your mind where it's like source is just going to tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. As long as you're in that grounded state, which is the connected state, you don't have to be meditating to receive. You can receive while you're making lasagna or walking the dog or doing whatever. Inspirations come all the time.
Okay. And when you notice that you're in that more thought mindset, that maybe I'm going to call it ego. If I'm more in that ego mindset, do you That is what it is, I guess. Do you just like let that
Here's what I would
be?
like to see. I would like to see you practice
Okay.
just being grounded,
Okay.
like more, because like for me, what you're describing sounds like the mental state,
Yeah.
right? Which is like up here thinking all the time. I would like to see what would happen. Science experiment, we'll call it.
I'm in.
If like for a week you just decided, I'm not going to just try to figure anything out. I'm not going to try to think of anything. I'm not going to try to analyze anything or solve anything. I'm just going to live grounded in my body for a week and see what happens.
Okay, I'm in. I love that. Thank you.
I would say that grounding is the most underrated, ignored aspect of all practices in spirituality. Like grounded, like living, being in the grounded state is literally what like connects, like it's what establishes that connection to source. And most people just aren't living grounded. Most people are busy on their phones, they're busy worrying, they're busy trying to solve things in their mind. If there was one thing that I would tell humanity if they want to create a better planet and change things in a positive way, I'd say the very first step is learning to live in a grounded state outside of your mind.
Okay. And so practicality of that. So specifically, the thought comes to my mind, let it sink down, let it go, and like a visualizing or whatever, right? A feeling, a felt sense.
I think the first step is learning to identify whether you're actually in your head or
Okay.
in your heart, whether you're actually in your mind or grounded. So right now, you and everybody on the call, take a second. Where's your consciousness right now? And then take a nice, easy breath in. And as you exhale, drop down into your heart, drop down into your body. And you notice how delicious it feels when you drop down into your chest, how more anchored it feels, how solid it feels. There's almost this activation of unconditional love that happens when I do that. I don't know if anybody else gets, drop a yes in the chat window if you can feel that unconditional love when you ground in your body. So I would say like the very first step is learning how to do that. And Kat makes a good point that like you can't be present in your reality while you're ungrounded, while you're in your mind. When you're grounded in your body, you are here.
We got some yeses. Yes. 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 I want more yeses. Anik said, what is all this? What astrology chart is? What I say the word. True what?
True sidereal. So I'll explain what true sidereal is for a second.
Okay.
It's this type of astrology that Anik studies. And what it is the mainstream astrology, I think it's called tropical astrology. The way that was created is some dude or whoever invented it decided, okay, we're going to have 12 buckets and we're going to give each sign an equal number of days for each bucket. And I don't know if it's 30 days or whatever. So they said Scorpio is going to be 30 days, Leo's going to be 30 days, Cancer's going to be 30 days. So equal pie pieces for the entire pie. So tropical astrology, mainstream astrology, that's how it was created. In reality, each of those pie slices are not equal. So Scorpio might be 15 days. Leo might be 45 days. So in true sidereal astrology, it's not based on these equal part buckets, but it's based on the actual placements of the planets and stars on your birthday. And my experience with true sidereal astrology is that it is more accurate than tropical. I hope I explained that right.
Yeah, but so when she says it'll reveal the heart versus mind connection.
Yeah, so Anik knows how to look at certain specific things in the chart. So, for example, she does something called Soul Essence Blueprint. So she'll look at your chart and she can tell you what your unique codes are, what your kind of your path you're here to live out, and what she calls them initiations are, which is kind of the struggles you're here to experience and overcome in order to activate your strong points and what you're here to do. So she must also be able to look at it and look at what your chart says about your mind and heart connection.
Yeah, see, I would want to do that live. That's fun.
Oh
Crazy
yeah,
accurate.
it's like if I like mine, it's all about being a teacher and living on the leading edge and spiritual. Like they're so bang on, it's incredible.
Yeah. She did, and it blew my mind like no other astrology. See, that's great.
Yeah, and if anybody, we're not here to promote stuff, but if anybody here
No.
does want a session with Anik, I don't think she charges a whole lot, probably a few $100. So you can send us an email, anik@nickbreau.com, if you want to have your chart done. I hope Anik doesn't mind that I said that.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're busy to do these or not, but
watch one of your favorite movies from childhood. Over an hour. Yeah, I just watched The Goonies the other night. It rules.
Goonies is a classic.
Goonies is great.
You know what? I saw. Did you see The Creator?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, it's great.
That was probably one of my favorite, my favorite sci-fi movie since The Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of there's been other ones. So I've seen like there was some gate one. There was I want to say The Ninth Gate, but that's not right. But it was like very much what was the movie? Anyway, but it was very much like simulation stuff or the premises. They go into a room, they go into this like alternate timeline, meanwhile not recognizing that they're already in the alternate timeline. So they went deeper into the matrix, and I found that fascinating.
So with The Creator, my takeaway and my reflection point was, can love be artificial? So AI is artificial. It's artificial intelligence. But if AI can create love and share love and express love, and you feel that love, is the love artificial?
So does it just matter what the receptor is, right? Are us being the receptor, are we love? You make a sound in the forest, it has to have the receptor. It has to have the
love is a frequency. Right. So if a computer creates a sound,
yes,
then is that sound real or is it artificial? Well, it's real because you can hear it,
right?
Even though it comes from an artificial source.
And then the emotion.
Yeah, fascinating movie. If anybody hasn't seen it and you like a good sci-fi flick, that's really going to make you think. For me, it helped me expand. It helped me create a shift on the concept of the frequency of love. Amazingly.
All right. How can I choose the things that I perceive as desires seem opposite? How can I choose when things that I perceive desires are opposite? Could fear be playing? I don't know.
So two desires that oppose each other?
Yeah, I suppose. But could fear be playing a role in this struggle? You want more information?
Possibly. Could be split energy. So ask yourself, this thing that I want, it's not safe to have it because if I do, see what comes up. And if something comes up, then obviously there's a fear and a split energy to work through.
And so what do you do about the split energy? Is that your tree process? You just work through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How often does that happen with the split energy stuff? Like it
depends on the topic. So relationships, when I used to work with relationship clients, I would say 80 to 90% of people who struggle in relationships or to attract a partner have split energy.
Meaning specifically, like they want this thing that they think they want, and in reality, that's what's.
I think the example I use in my book was a client who was cheated on in high school. She thought she was going to marry this guy. She had it in her mind that they were going to have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. She had it all planned out, and then she was in her senior year. She went into school one day and found out he was cheating on her. Right. So that's an emotional trauma. So then the subconscious mind wanting to keep you safe, anytime you start to fall in love with somebody else, the subconscious mind reminds you of what happened with that past relationship, and it creates these fears and triggers these fears, which result in either a self-sabotaging behavior or this energy of inability to attract a partner long term.
Oh, that's really fascinating. So it's always that baggage stuff. Baggage has so you clear out that, and then see,
Totally.
so much of
Even
this is
even
that
around
way.
money, right? So around money,
Sure.
I had a call once with a lady who every time she was an entrepreneur, she had her own business, and every time she was about to sign like a big financial deal that was going to make her a lot of money, she was recognizing that she was screwing it up and she was self-sabotaging and she couldn't figure out why she was doing it.
Wow.
And we did some digging and I found out that as a child, her dad was a business owner, a very wealthy family. Her dad was offered a sure shot investment. So he invested the entire family fortune into that investment. It wasn't as sure shot as he was told it was. They lost all their money. And then he subsequently had PTSD from it and died of a heart attack. So as a child, she associated the death of her father to finances. So now as an adult, every time she was about to make a bunch of money, the subconscious mind kicked in and created that self-sabotaging behavior to try to keep her safe.
That's so wild. And so when you do your belief tree process, I mean, that's so heavy to me. You're associating death with this thing that you want.
Yeah, but all you have to do is invalidate the
Okay.
story or the belief, right? So her mind associated money equals death,
Sure.
right? And then once you can invalidate that, then the belief goes away and so does the fear.
Okay. And then you start fresh again, Is that what it is? And that's
You're a
great.
new person, right? Because every time you shift a belief, every single belief you shift shifts you to becoming a brand new person with a brand new vibration. That's why I tell people you're always just one vibrational shift away from your desires, right?
Do you think is there a power or a weakness in recognizing this could affect me in this moment, this new information? This could affect me. So specifically, let's say, okay, my dad went into the hospital. And so it's like, that could bother me a little bit. But meanwhile, I know it's all good. I'm not going to worry about it. It's all good. Is that like I don't know. Is that being a sociopath? Like, is that being like, I'm not going to feel this feeling?
I
It
think it's
felt
important.
genuine.
I think it's important to acknowledge and feel what wants to be felt,
Sure.
right? Because anytime you're ignoring a feeling, you're ignoring your guidance system, right? So if a circumstance triggers like a negative emotion, there's an aspect of yourself that is looking to be healed.
Okay. In this case, it didn't feel like, I guess if I would have sat in it, it would have been a different thing. So I'm just afraid to sit in that because I guess I knew, like, I was like, it's fine. We've gone through this before. It's fine. Like, so there was that sense. I don't know if that split too, but knowing that and then being afraid to like really delve in, where I think he probably wanted it. He probably wanted a little attention, but I was like, okay, but if I don't serve this attention, you'll be right out of the hospital today. And that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And what I would probably do is I would probably sit in that energy of like, everything is co-created with source.
Sure.
Everything is happening for me, whether it's wanted or unwanted. Right. So it's like sitting in the comfort and that connection of, from source's vantage point, everything is always perfect.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, again, either way, you can't get it wrong, but what would you do in that thing? It felt like shoving my head in the sand is what it felt like, but I couldn't tell if
Yeah.
that was bad.
I think it's about just being present in your reality and allowing the unfolding,
All right.
knowing that if there's anything I need to do, that
Right.
inspiration will come.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Can relate to this. Meditation still point.
Yeah, that was the meditation I shared with School of Expansion.
Okay.
A still point meditation.
Yeah. And it was about money, or it was about like a
No,
general thing?
what that meditation does, and for School of Expansion students, that's teachable. What that meditation is meant to do is it's meant to help you drop into your body and then kind of scan your body for the aspects of yourself that are looking to be felt and transmuted.
Okay. It's a body scan meditation? That's cool.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because anytime you've got anytime you feel unsettled,
Sure.
there's something looking to be processed. A lot of people aren't consciously aware of what's looking to be processed. So this is just a 10-minute short guided meditation to help you tune into what's looking to be processed so you can be consciously aware of it and then transmute it.
Okay. I need more questions from people. How'd you do on your tournament?
Really good. We
Did
finished.
you?
It was a doubles tournament. We finished, I think, 10th out of 32,
That's
which
great.
is it's great considering I've only been playing for like this is my second year playing.
Is it like a mixed doubles? Did they pair you up with a woman?
No, it's all guys.
Oh, it
Well,
was.
there's a women's division, but so the men play with the men. There was a few couples pairs, but I was playing with another guy.
It's dead air now. What's on your mind? I'm sitting in this thing. I'm sitting in the space. I'm sitting in my heart.
I want to hear more from our audience.
Yeah, I know.
What's our audience been reflecting on in terms of spirituality and co-creation and all of this stuff?
Do you notice that, like, so last week it was just question after question after question. It was so wild compared to this. Do you notice that, like, that sort of thing comes in waves?
A little bit. So here's a question for everybody. What's more important to you right now? Manifestation or nurturing your connection to source? What's a higher excitement? So if you had access to, let's say, an e-course or a book or a piece of content to help you with manifestation or to help you gain a greater connection to source, which book or which e-course would you pick up? What do you think? What about you, Nick?
Yeah. So, okay. So, honestly, I like manifestations, and that sparked my interest. I'll be honest. That one
Yeah.
sounds exciting. And so, yes, if I could, but then if it comes with the other one, then that's fun too. Connection to source, connection with source. Of course, the audience is pros.
Well, are they
Nurturing source.
is the audience just saying what I'm looking to hear, or
I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say,
okay.
so I felt a spark, but was the meditation today?
No, the meditation, that's a meditation that's teachable for the School of Expansion students called the Still Point Meditation.
What's the best way to connect to source? This is what we talk about a lot. This is great.
Yeah. I mean, when you're grounded, when you're feeling good, when you're in alignment, those are all things that nurture your connection to source. I think I should clarify too, we're always connected to source. The question is am I allowing myself to feel that connection? Am I in the receptive mode for that connection?
Everyone's talking about manifestation these days. You almost wonder if they just, like, everyone kind of goes through some journey, like with law of attraction. Because now it feels like, I feel like the opposite. I feel like no one's talking about manifestation these days.
I
Just my
feel for
experiences.
me, I feel like manifestation is old news. I feel like manifestation is irrelevant. And I mean, I spent decades studying manifestation and I manifested 7 figures more than once and my dream partner and all of this delicious stuff. But for me, there's an awareness now that that connection to source and that deliciousness that comes with it and the deliciousness of the unfolding of reality when you live connected to source. Now that's where it's really at.
Right. And so fixation on manifestation usually comes from dissatisfaction with current reality. Exactly. And so connection to source is the entry point. That's great.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd agree
It
with
is a
that.
trick question. And that's what the audience knew. They knew what you were doing, your tricks.
Yeah, a lot of these people are in School of Expansion, so they're well aware of my trick questions.
So what if you feel awful, got an email that you didn't get the job?
And why would you allow that to make you feel awful?
Okay.
Right? That's attachment to a outcome. So that's just showing you that either that wasn't the right job for you. It's showing you that you got something in your vibration to work through. So every aspect of reality is there to show you something about what you're practicing.
And so if it's a thing where so I would think a lot of people don't like to be rejected. I'm sure
Yeah.
most have
So
felt rejection in some point.
yeah. So if that rejection comes through, or that, if you get this email that says you did get the job, then it's about asking the question, how is this making me feel? Why do I feel this way? What do I need to transmute and process in this circumstance? Right? Is there an emotion of not good enough? Is there an emotion of failure? Is there an emotion of rejection?
So how much of that would depend? So you have she's going to apply for more jobs then. Fix the problem first before you apply for more jobs, or
Well, I
do
don't like
your
to perceive
thing.
it as a problem that needs to be fixed,
Okay,
but it's
fine.
understanding that, like, this is a frequency I'm practicing and this is what's being reflected back to me. Right.
And that if you are in that frequency when you're applying.
So here's the question I would ask. I would first ask, if I was sitting in front of this person, I would ask, this circumstance, how did it make me feel? What's the number one trigger? Is it not good enough? Is it failure? Is it disappointment? Is it hopelessness? And then see if that emotion is coming up in other aspects of your reality. Is it coming up in relationships? Is it coming up in the dynamics with family? Is it coming up every time you go to the grocery store? So see if there's a trend with that same emotion coming up, and then that's a sign that that emotion is something that a part of you needs to transmute and heal.
Okay. Yes. Strengthening. They all know. They all know the answers.
Smart bunch.
Right. I've given up on manifestations because how I feel is more important.
Yeah, and how you feel is going to link back to manifestations anyways. The
Right.
quality of your reality is based on the quality of the vibration you practice, which is based on the quality of the emotions you feel. One of my favorite quotes that came out of one of our collective calls was, loving your reality is the key to a loving reality, to a lovely reality.
Check this out. We got a reverse. For a long time, I practiced connection to source and expected that it would somehow create a flow in my life, but it's only made my life worse. That's terrible.
But
So
it's not
now
the
it's
connection to
manifestation.
source. The mistake here is that it's not the connection to source that made things worse. It's probably stuff she was practicing at an unconscious level.
Right. That it wasn't truly connected to source. It was still somehow shrouded in self-belief or self whatever. Connection. Everyone. Oh, okay. So how to move on. Okay. Oh,
So if
yeah.
you go down lower, she says disappointment is everywhere.
Oh,
So
where
go
am I
down
at?
2 more. So she's got a theme of disappointment. So the email, the job, feeling disappointment. So she's noticing disappointment in other aspects of her reality. So what I would suggest then is to use whatever tools you have to transmute that vibration, that emotion of disappointment that you're probably practicing a lot often. Something in your vibrational craw.
Right. No.
And that's why, my favorite thing about law of attraction is it's consistent, right? So if something is happening in your reality, it's because there is something you are practicing. Law of attraction is a law like gravity, doesn't go away. It's always in play. So you can always get an idea of what you're practicing in your vibration based on what you're experiencing in the physical.
Right. How do you transmute?
You can belief tree it, you can tap it, inner child work. So again, it depends on.
Your mic went out. I should talk during all this, but I'm watching you. I'm finding myself just watching you.
Better now?
Yep. Okay. So what were you saying? Child work.
Inner child work, whatever tools you have access to, especially if you have access to a good facilitator.
Okay. Nurturing my connection has become my priority, but I miss the fun. Manifestation.
But like manifestation's always happening anyways,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. It's like labeling what it is, right? If you don't label it, you're gonna miss it then, right? But it's always happening. Always.
Yeah.
How do you transmute disappointment? Okay.
Yeah, same thing. Tapping, belief tree process. inner child work.
Would it be interesting to like do like some of that live?
We do that stuff in the School of Expansion.
Okay.
You would need to have somebody like on screen with me.
Right.
And I don't want to just pull up any random internet stranger on screen with us.
Wait, what would
Because it
happen?
could have
This
some
sounds great.
fun experiences, but yeah. And actually on our next call, on our next School of Expansion call, which is next week, we are going to be mostly, I think, doing clearing work.
Oh, like people raise their hand and then you go through it?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is the worksheet today is going to help people go through their pillars and identify some of the fears or resistance they're practicing to living out their pillars. And then what we're going to do on the call next week in the School of Expansion is help people work through the resistances that they're carrying that's preventing them from living in more fun or whatever it is that their pillars identified.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wait. It's not working. See, you got to get a hold of her.
And a lot of I hear that a lot, and a
Yeah.
lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I can't think of the number of times I've gotten on a call with somebody and I identify an emotion like say disappointment, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've done tons of clearing work. That's not an issue anymore." And then 20 minutes later, they're bawling their eyes out because they're clearing the disappointment. Right? Most people aren't consciously aware of what it is that they're practicing because they're not grounded enough in their body.
Anxiety gets in the way of nurturing my connection with source. I feel the pressure of not feeling at home. So I feel the urge to move country. Okay. She's physically moving. She wants to physically move, but she'll just take it with, right?
You can physically move, but you can't move away from a vibration.
And
You
so
can't leave your vibration behind.
so dealing with the anxiety, I'm going to treat it like I'm going to answer this as the grounding then. This is what I'm going to do this whole week is the grounding, just living grounded.
Yeah, I mean, I had one person email me. She was one of the students, or she was a collective member, and she had like three ambulance trips in the last like month because of panic attacks.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, and I gave her a meditation. I said, do this grounding meditation. Do it like 5 times a day. Get out of your head. And she did that, and they almost virtually completely went away. So again, grounding. You can't have a panic attack and be in fear when you're grounded in your body, out of your mind.
Yeah, and breath work, right?
Yeah, well, breath work is a form of grounding, right? You're
Right.
focusing in on your breath, so you're getting out of your head.
How to release a sabotaging pattern.
Yeah, again, it's identifying what's, how do you release a sabotaging pattern? Well, you look at what's triggering the pattern in the first place, right?
Okay.
What's the emotion that I'm trying to soothe or compensate for by acting out on this pattern?
And do you notice like it pops up a lot? Like if I decide to binge eat tonight, is that the same as I guess same as it comes up in a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah.
Our vibration.
So if you've got a pattern of binge eating,
Yeah.
before you're about to reach into the pantry to grab some chocolate or tiramisu or whatever it is you're looking to grab, ask yourself, am I really hungry? Or what's the emotion that I'm feeling right now that's driving me to want to look to food for comfort? What am I trying to comfort?
Right. They're thinking. How about this? Massive action instead. The law of massive action. What's that?
I don't know what that is. I've never
All
heard
right.
of action being the law.
It's massive though. It's always worked better. Lost too much money with inspired action.
Yeah, but
sucks.
maybe what if the loss of money is part of the path?
Right.
What if the loss of money is there to bring an awareness to expand you to a higher level to let more money in than you've ever let in before?
It's the most time of growth for a lot of people, I bet, that is a negative action or a negative thing. Wow, their perceiving negative.
Yeah. Nick had an experience with a facilitator, with a practitioner, a negative experience a week or two ago, and we were talking about it last night where, she felt a lot of anger that she had this experience with somebody. And I told her, like, that experience, you didn't screw up, right? You didn't follow bad inspired action. If inspired action led you to that experience, It's because there's something for you to experience or to gain awareness or expansion from that experience. People label outcomes that are unwanted or undesirable as bad, but they're not bad. They're the experiences that you need for your evolution.
Right. Yeah, it sucks in the moment though. You know, you just don't ever want to feel bad, even if it's a lesson.
Yeah, but again, it only feels bad because you're perceiving it as bad.
Sure, of course. So with a shift like that, if you're conscious, if you're really fast with that shift, is that felt sense ever necessary, right? Do I have to feel bad to really, or can you recognize it right away and then make a change? Like, is it
Yeah,
less impactful if you make it less
because the
impactful?
negative emotion services. You're saying,
Yeah.
oh, why do I feel that way? Oh, because I got taken advantage of.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, well, how can I perceive that in the same way source perceives it? You didn't get taken advantage of. You were taught a lesson, you were shown something to self-reflect and shift what it is you have going on so that you evolve to a more expanded place.
And are you ever supposed to like dwell on, not dwell, but like, are you ever supposed to soak in that negative feeling or what you're perceiving as negative? Or can you
I
just
think
pivot
I
away
think
from
it's
it
about
and get the same?
reflect on it, allow yourself to feel it, transmute it, right? The last thing you want to do is resist it and push it away.
Okay. Yeah, I had talked to a lady one time, and she lost her husband 3 years ago, uh, and I was like, it's like, how long is the grief process supposed to go on? You know?
Yeah, people say time heals,
Sure.
right? And I get that to a point, but why is it that for some people 6 months is enough time and some people 6 years isn't enough time,
Right.
right? And it's because of how much you're able to allow yourself to process,
Right.
right?
Yeah. When you're working on a project and it's not having much success, what are some tools or affirmations we can use to get a place of conviction the project will succeed, or any other tips?
So I would say go back and ask yourself, am I having fun?
Right.
Right? Why am I doing this project? Am I doing this project for the experience of the project and for the fun and the enjoyment of the project? Or is it based on an attachment to outcome?
Yeah. So there was a call, like on that call last week. I found that really fascinating. It's the best part about the any time you work in a group, right? Because you get like an outside perspective of this person's life. And the woman was having a problem. She had this wonderful opportunity. She could go to a new job, right? Or she could stay in this current situation. It was just like full of opportunity, but also you could sense the fear. And it was so good to like experience that same thing that I'm feeling on some level from an
Yeah.
outside perspective,
I
because it
love that's one
always
of the
is so
things
easier.
that's one of the things I love about the expansion calls is that like, there might only be 8 or 10 people in the hot seat, but like there's so much relevance in what's being talked about in for everybody in across the different hot seaters.
Yeah. It was so good like that. I don't know how to recreate that in any other way. They got to be on the live chat. I mean, it was so powerful in that
Yeah, but
moment.
when you have a group of humans who live in alignment and who make alignment a priority in their life come together on a Zoom call every week or every second week, like of course there's power and there's alignment and there's connection in that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. Love this. So happy I've discovered.
Awesome. Thanks for joining in, Hannah.
Well, did you have anything else? Because I'm good.
No, I'm
It's
just
pretty
having
good.
fun.
I was excited.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, these chats are always fun. Part of me wants to do this twice a week, but I'm like, you know what? No, let's save it for this delicious Wednesday morning thing.
It comes up quick.
Yeah.
Like last night, I was like, "Oh, it's already tomorrow, huh?" Yeah, I think that there's a lot of fun projects to be had throughout the week for us, for the two of us,
Yeah, I know.
especially you.
Yeah. And I love hearing from our members who tune in live here too and what they want to talk about and hear about. As often how often we do this every Wednesday, same time, same place. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, Coffee and Co-Creation, if you haven't already, and you should get a notification, but it's every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Now today, did you blast out something? Did you send out like a tweet or oh, okay.
Yeah, I posted in a couple of Facebook groups and I sent a message out to the mailing list.
Okay.
And of course, for our School of Expansion Mastery group, we have a call today at 3:00 Eastern. And if
Very exciting.
anybody who wants to get in on the School of Expansion and become one of our students, just go to nickbreau.com and click on School of Expansion.
We'll have a link you got a link in this description too, right?
Maybe.
We'll put it.
I'm not very good at promoting stuff on social media.
Yeah. Because you're right. They're all gonna find you. It's all good. They all come
people
to you.
whose excitement, if they're meant to be a student in School of Expansion, then they'll find their way.
Love these chats. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, super fun.
It's great.
Any final one final topic, or do you think we're good for today?
Oh, I'm good, but I mean, you want to leave it open?
Let's leave it open for one more minute. Anybody
All right.
else have anything else in the chat window they want us to address or discuss?
There's going to be 4 questions. We're going to be on an extra half hour. Nope,
Right.
just emojis.
All right, love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Nick, and we'll see you guys either on the mastery call later today for our mastery students or for our coffee and co-creation peeps. We'll see you again next Wednesday, same time, same place. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.